Hiya, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts and I hope you're doing okay. Now you may have seen some of my videos where I used Jades Moulds. She sent me some Easter ones recently which I made very quickly and put them up on the video on YouTube. She also sent me some flower moulds which are new for her. I don't know if she's released them yet, but they won't be long if they're not released just yet. And they are stunning. She also sent some to Claire and Claire has been using them as well. And I just thought I'd have a muck around with these moulds and see what I could come up with and see what type of methods I could use to make them. So let's have a look how I got on with these flower moulds. So as Jade sent me 3 flower moulds, I thought I'd do 3 different types of technique with them. This is Cosmetic Shimmer Gilding Flakes and in the colour of Autumn Leaves. Now I originally bought these from Amazon and I did go to Cosmetic Shimmer's website and they have lots of different gilding flakes in lots of different colours. And I like the idea that you're going to get different effects with these different multiple colour flakes. So with this mould I'm just putting loads of these flakes in and I'm going to cover the entire thing. I'm not trying to put them in any particular area, just covering the whole thing. I can always come back later and take some away. This does take a little time, but it's quite therapeutic really. Once I've covered the whole thing, I'm just going to get rid of any floaty around flakes that haven't quite stuck because there might be multiple layers and flakes don't stick to flakes. Then it's time to have a bit of a clean up. So I've rolled up some tape and I'm taking away all the bits that I don't want. And that includes some of the pattern inside. This is where I can remove the flakes from the pieces that I want to be clear. And with the flower mould, there's the raised rough part of the flower that is textured when you demould the piece. And those are the pieces I'm cleaning up. A backward rolled piece of sticky tape does the job perfectly. And the smaller the sticky tape is, the smaller the areas you can get into. And once that's all done, it looks like a whole different piece. Now with the first mould it had more of a textured area than a plain area. This one is different. This one has more of a plain area than a textured area. So I thought with this one we'll go with flakes. We'll cover the whole thing with flakes and we'll see what it looks like when it comes out. Now I don't know if I can do anything with the textured area once I demould this because the textured area is quite thin on these. It's not thick enough to put a layer of resin in it, but I'm going to try it anyway. I want to try it. I want to see what it comes out like and you can see what it comes out like as well then. So I cover the whole thing in a really gorgeous flake and this Let's Resin Violet flake is one of my favourites. Would you Adam and Eve it? Now if you follow Jade on Instagram, you will see her pouring ink onto these flower moulds. And I thought, I've not done this before, I'm going to have to try it. But first I want to colour the areas that are plain because the ink goes in the textured area when Jade makes them. This is the opposite to the second one. It has got more textured area than plain area. But I'm going to cover the whole thing in these little Rebel glitter flakes which are opal and gorgeous. And then I'm going to colour it once it's demoulded. I'm just going to leave it coated. As usual I'm using Let's Resin for this. My go-to resin. I love this resin. And don't forget I have a discount code for this which is on the screen and in the description box below. And I'm also going to be using the Vista Black pigment and the Vista White pigment. So one will be black, one will be white and one will be clear. Now black is best for any type of colour shift pigment. However with the opal pigments it does tend to go green and I'm not a green person so I've decided white for that one. With the Cosmic Shimmer Flakes, I'm putting clear because I'm going to put some Dichroic Film in the back. So I'm using 2 different colours of the Dichroic Film to put behind the flakes in the clear resin, and I got fed up with trying to push it down, so I got my hands in there to push it down and make it all nice and flat, and it worked wonders. A lot of fun too, but I did clear up quite a bit after that. Topped them up, and they are sitting on a heat mat because it was still cold here at the time, and it does make them cure quite a lot faster as well. And I gave them a good scrap with isopropyl alcohol to help reduce the surface bubbles, and left them to cure. So the following day it's time to demould, and I thought I'd leave in the demoulding noises for you. Don't you just love that click at the end when it comes out of the mould? So the first one is the Violet Chameleon Flakes, and you can see that it is different where the texture part of the mould is, but I absolutely love this, and I'm not going to do anything else to it. There are a few bubbles around the edge, but I can live with that. It's not perfect, but neither am I. So this is the opal flakes with the white background, and you can see the textured part is much more prominent in this one. There's so much more area that you can colour with ink, and it's the same design, but the exact opposite to the purple one. And the Cosmic Flakes last one is the one I was looking forward to the most. This piece will come alive when you put a clear top coat on it. As I was short of time on this, I've decided to use UV resin. Now, a UV resin on a top coat of a coaster isn't the best resin to use. I would use a heat resistant resin if I had the time. Unfortunately, time was against me, but I wanted to show you what a top coat of resin would do to a piece like this. If you haven't seen the Easter egg piece that I did a few weeks ago, the pieces came out absolutely stunning. Just with one top coat of resin, it changes everything. And I'll link that video in the top right hand corner. This coaster had 3 very thin layers of UV resin, and I cured it between every layer. So I held my hands up with this method. I thought it was going to be easy. I was a little bit mistaken, but these are the inks that I'm using. I'm using the Let's Resin, Peach Red and Cerulean. I don't have that many alcohol inks to use, to be honest. I started videoing this and hadn't pressed record, so forgive the first part that's missing. So the first part was Peach Red. I'm now on the Cerulean Blue, and I'm very carefully, or trying very carefully, just to dab a little bit of ink on each section. I'm not doing it very well. Since filming this and completing it, I have actually talked to Jade, who is the expert on this technique. As far as I know, she's the one that came up with it. And she suggests putting a tiny bit of ink in a needle top bottle and just letting the ink flow instead of using these original bottles that have quite large holes in them. The needle top bottles do work so much better. Now, I did actually try that myself. When it got to a point where one of the bottles I was using was just going everywhere, I decided to decant it into a needle top bottle, and it did work a lot better. But it's going okay at the moment. This colour is Sudulite, and I think it's an absolutely beautiful colour, and it does seem to be working really well. The bottle seems to be controlling. I can put it in the little areas, and yeah, this one's doing well. This is dark magenta. This is a different story. As I said, I didn't have that many colours. Jade has got so many colours, and she sells lots of colours as well. This is where it starts to go a little wrong for me, and this dark magenta just keeps spurting out of the bottle. And it is going no matter what I try to do. And this is where I thought I've got to get this into a needle top bottle where I can control it a bit more. After it's spilling into the peach red area, there's not a lot I could do. So I did use one of my little needle top bottles and put a little bit. Now, I did put too much in there. You only need a tiny bit, tiny bit in those needle top bottles. And even then, it was flooding out. It is an art form, this. Jade has it down. Have you ever seen Jade's work? She's amazing. But I did find that the cotton bud actually soaked up quite a lot of this ink quite easily. So when I was decanting too much, the cotton buds did help. but I was getting in such a mess. I was covered. This is Midnight Blue, again Let's Resin. I am trying so hard to control it, but I'm not doing a very good job. There's so many details on this textured mould. I was struggling to get the nibs in the little areas. I don't know, Jade is so accurate with hers. But yeah, this is definitely a technique I'm going to have to practice at because it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And the colours that I'm using aren't as great as they could be. After pretty much running out of colours, I decided to go back to peach red and I put that round the outside edge. And there's quite a lot of bubbles around that outside edge too. So how did it end up? Well, I did get ink everywhere. It was right around the outside, it was all over my hands, it was on the table, it was underneath on the bottom. I used a Dichroic Premium Silver pen to go around the outside to tidy it up at least a little bit. It was a lot of fun trying that technique, but it does need a bit of practice. Well, I need to practice. The Violet Chameleon flakes are beautiful and it shows off these moulds are just stunning anyway, without anything else, just flakes. And the cosmetic glitters foils are just beautiful with that dichroic film in the back, absolutely beautiful. I love these moulds. I did sand the back down because I had a little dichroic film sticking at the back and I covered it with felt, and I am extremely happy with the results, even though I could have done better. I'll put Jade's link in the description box below. Go and check out her website and check her out on Instagram if you're on Instagram. Her pieces are amazing. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you've got something out of it. Come back and see me next week because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week. Happy crafting and bye for now.